Hi, I'm David Fleming, and I want to welcome you to the YouTube channel of Disciples Ignited, where we are focused on Jesus, advancing his kingdom, and preparing his disciples. Now, for the past several videos, we have been dealing with a new series that we're on, Prophetic Ministry for Today and Modern Day Prophets. Now, we've been dealing with the life and ministry of Moses, who was one of the greatest prophets in the Old Testament. And today we're going to start teaching a little bit about Samuel the prophet. Now, Samuel actually lived 450 to 475 years after the death of Moses. But when he was born when Israel was in a spiritual state of barrenness. So he was brought up into this difficult setting, and God used him in such powerful ways. So let's get into it. Samuel had a God-given destiny to be a prophet of the Lord, and the Lord raised Samuel up to be a true prophet. It's not that there weren't prophets in the nation of Israel. There were lots of prophets, but they were not really true prophets of the Lord. But we find that Samuel was not only a prophet, he was also a godly priest and a religious leader in Israel at that time. So we see, first of all, God called Samuel to be a prophet. Now, the calling to be a prophet wasn't tied to a person's lineage like being a priest. You had to be born in the line of Aaron to be a priest in the Old Testament. But to be a prophet just meant that the Lord had chosen you to be in that office of leadership. So the Lord raised him up, made him a prophet in the land. Now, the Lord referred to Samuel as a seer. And in previous videos, we've talked about the difference between a prophet and a seer. Basically, to our understanding, it is referring to the way that the Lord spoke to the prophet. Now, a prophet was also called a seer, and a seer was called a prophet. But there does seem to be a difference in the fact that the Lord usually gave seers open visions where they saw what the Lord was communicating to them. And if you were a prophet, the Lord spoke to you in different ways. Visions, dreams, a spiritual knowing. But a seer is somebody, it really emphasizes how God just opened up their spiritual eyes and they saw open visions. Now, it's very interesting that Samuel was also born into a Levite family. So he was a priest because he was born into a priestly family. First Chronicles chapter 6 records that Samuel was born a Kohathite of the tribe of Levi. 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 1 tells us that Samuel's father was an Ephraimite. This relates to the territory where he lived rather than to his tribal lineage. Now, Samuel was the Lord's initial replacement for Eli, who was a priest. 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 35 tells us, I will raise up for myself a faithful priest who will do according to what is in my heart and mind. So what does that tell us about Levi? That tells us that he was not a faithful priest, but the Lord is saying, I'm going to raise up a faithful priest that will truly serve me. Hallelujah. So we see three very important things here. Samuel was not only a prophet, but he was a priest because he was born into that through priestly lineage. But we also see that Samuel became a great leader in the nation of Israel. So he was prophet, he was a priest, and he was a leader in the nation. This really points us in powerful ways to Jesus, because Jesus, the perfect prophet, the perfect priest, the perfect king, hallelujah. So we call this a type. That means that the Lord used Samuel as a type of Christ. Just really saying that the Lord used him to point us specifically to his son and the role that his son was going to play upon the earth. Oh, there's so much to learn about Prophet Samuel. So join me tomorrow and we'll get in more depth to it.